There it is, y'all. Got the bellows installed on the boat side anyway. I'm fixing to grease that spline shaft up in there and grease the U-joints on the drive and try to finagle her back up in there. It ain't been too hard. Got all the bands tight in the back, and the way I installed them is I took the bands off and I pushed the rubber boots on, and then I unscrewed the band all the way to where the band came apart, and then slipped the band back in there, put the band back together and started tightening it until it caught, and then tightened it up. I did that on the bellows, the big ones. I didn't do that on the little intake or outlet hose, whatever that little hose is. But that's where we're at, and it's 2:15. Started working on this at 11:15, taking it all apart. But I'm gonna say I've probably had about 45 minutes or so of goof off time. I went in, made a sandwich, had a drink, sat on the front porch for a little bit, played around on the internet for a little bit. So I'm 3 hours in now, but really I've probably only worked on this about 2 hours, 15 minutes. So we'll see how long it takes me to do the rest of it. Alright, I've about had my butt whooped here just now, but I got it hung back, drove those pins in to hold it for me. The hardest part was lining the splines up in there. You got the U-joints on this end, and you have the male spline shaft sticking out of the back of the motor. Well, the U-joint is the female end, and it's all floppy all around. So you gotta get your hand in here without smashing your fingers in between any moving parts in there. Line the splines up, and then hold the weight of this thing while you and then pretty much once the splines go together, it kind of guides itself in. But until that part, it's just a big, heavy, floppy mess you're sitting here holding. But got the splines lined up. It slid on in for me. Then I got a little 4x4 block to put underneath the skeg fin there, and that enabled me to the male female splines held it up here for me, and the block held it down there for me, and I pretty much just had to wiggle these little ears and put pressure against these pins until I felt the pin start to go in, then tapped her with a hammer. Did that on both sides. So now it ain't going nowhere. Now I've got to split these bands. Got to unscrew these bands apart, split them, put them around the boots once I get the boots shoved home on this outdrive. But it's definitely doable. It ain't something impossible. There's other things I'd rather be doing today, but this is something that had to be done. My buddy told me if them boots crack and break while you're out on your boat, it could flood your boat. So definitely don't want that. Alright, I'm gonna sit down for a minute and then get back to it. Alright, y'all, I got the upper one on. I used a combination of needle nose. Actually, this is my electrical clines, or my electrical strippers, and a little crooked screwdriver to pry it on and pull it on very gently. Sock's the Wonder Pig. He's coming to see what Daddy's doing. Hey, Sots, say hey. Woof. Woof. Alright. But anyway, I got the top one on. Now I got to do the bottom one, and I got to do that small water inlet or outlet, whatever it is. Socks, you gonna help Daddy? You're just gonna eat grass. Oh, and I know y'all won't believe this, but it's about to storm, as per usual. Alright, y'all. Got it all back together except for this cover. It's 3:45. So I started at 11:15, so 12:15, 1:15, 2:15, 3:15 would be 4 hours. So it's been 4.5 hours. But I would say I've got a good hour of goofing off by now. I mean, eating lunch, taking breaks, stuff like that. So I'd say if you put your mind to it, you can do this in 3.5 hours. Tear down and build back. All the bellows is in, all the bands is tight. I did on this top band on the outside upper bellows, the stainless steel band that they sent in the kit was too small. It was on the bellows when it was sitting in the package, but once you stretch that bellows over the metal, right, the round part of the outdrive here, the bellows expands, and it expanded to a size where you couldn't get the band together. So luckily the old band is still good, and it probably about 1 inch longer than the one they sent in the kit, so it worked just fine. But other than that, everything's back together. But this cover right here, I'm going to spray some WD-40 on all those pivoting parts in there, and I'm calling it done. You may be wondering why I'm so concerned with how long it takes to do this, and the reason why is I've got a good buddy he's probably mid-60s, and he's been into boats his whole life, and right now he owns about every boat you can think of. He owns a houseboat, he owns a handful of speed boats, and just bayliners and all kinds of bunch of different types and styles of boats. And whenever I got this boat, he said, oh man, he said, you're gonna hate the inboard outboard combination, because you got to change out the bellows, and he's like, every couple years you got to send your boat to a shop to have the bellows changed out, and it costs like $1,000 every couple years to have a shop do that. And I thought that was kind of shocking, because he's a pretty mechanically inclined guy that's worked on motors and all kinds of stuff his whole life. So for him to tell me this has to be done by a shop, I kind of got a little bit nervous about it, because I know he's I guess you can call him a mechanic, and so I was a little bit intimidated by it. But now I can go back, and when he asks about the bellows, I can tell him that I did it in, what was it, I'm going to say probably about 3 hours. I'm going to say it's about a 3.5 hour job, and it cost me $65. The bellows kit cost $65. So that's why I've been paying attention to the time. But as far as the outdrive go, I still have to figure out how to change the lube. I'm sure this thing has gear lube in it, just like a regular boat motor, or like a regular lower unit on a typical outboard. So I got to study up how to drain it and how to fill it with fresh gear lube. And I can't get the tilt and trim to work. Up on the dash of the boat, when you turn the batteries on, it's got a tilt and trim switch on the dash, and the switch lights up, so I know it's got power going to the switch, but when you hit the switch up or down, this does not go up or down. So this is the trim motor right here, and the wiring on this boat is a mess, so I've got to go through some of this wiring back here. But so that's my next adventure, is trying to study why this thing won't trim up or down. It may be as simple as a fuse, or it may be as complicated as a bad motor. Who knows? But alright, y'all. Well, I've blabbed in y'all's ear enough today. Appreciate y'all watching. And that's how you change out the bellows on a Volvo Penta 280 outdrive. That's how I did it anyway. Y'all have a good one.